Hey everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the World of Presentation podcast brought to you by us at 356 Labs. This is episode number 19 of season 2, by the way. And yeah, my name is Boris and I'm the founder of the presentation agency 356 Labs. However, as in the last few episodes, I'm not the important person in that podcast because yet again, we have a very special guest with us. You'll hear about him, but he is going to deliver both a session and a full-blown 4-hour masterclass at Present to Succeed, our conference in April 2021. Peter, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I love the way you say full-blown. It's a full-blown masterclass, not just a normal masterclass, but full-blown. I love it.
Yeah. So Peter, we are going to do a lot of things at Present to Succeed together. However, there is quite some time before it. By the way, some of the tickets for your masterclass are already gone.
Oh, really?
But before we kind of jump into a lot of the details and share a lot of wisdom, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So essentially, I'm an executive speaker coach, TEDx coach, pitch coach, and I simply help professionals, leaders, managers to really step up when it comes to sharing their messages on stage, online, and everywhere in between, really. So so that's what I do. I live in Croatia. I've lived here for about 20 years now. I've lived in 7 countries altogether. I travel to I think it's 28 now. But I'm not traveling anywhere at all since February. And just traveling through my screen as everybody. Yeah, just traveling through my screen on virtual events and coaching. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to show how real this podcast is, hopefully our marketing person won't edit that. Just to let you know that the first 2 or 3 words that you say every single time are very low on volume, and then everything fixes. So if you know something that can change that, let's go for it. Just saying it. But otherwise, the sound is really nice. Now, you said that you are coaching a lot of people, a lot of organizations. However, I know you from another place, and that place is the so-called Digital K, or Digitalk, as we like to say here in Bulgaria. Because back then, I think a year ago or 2 years ago, I don't remember anymore, you are actually the MC of the event, and that event is a very, very special event. And from what I know, you are not the MC of just Digital K, right? So you are doing that all across the world. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what is it to be an MC?
Yeah. First of all, it's kind of strange where you've seen me and you kind of know me. You've seen me on stage a couple of times. I think I shaped the stage in Bulgaria at Digitalk 3 times. I think you've seen me already. But clearly I haven't seen you. But I'm trying to kind of getting to know you now, which is great. But the role of an MC is a very specific type of sharing your messages, very different from naturally there's pitching, there's a keynote speaker, just a normal talk, maybe a webinar, but the role of an MC is very different. It's very specific. So it's kind of, if we were to talk about what an MC actually does and the purpose of what he or she does, it's really to I would say keep everything together, keep everything moving, and you're kind of representing the event organizer who's putting on the show, who's putting on the event. So all these things in terms of being professional, making people feel good, making people feel like they're in the right place. Often it's energizing the atmosphere in the room. Sometimes it's reflection, getting people to reflect on what they've just heard. Often it's creating the right atmosphere, preparing your audience for the speakers that are about to come on stage. So just getting them in the right mind frame, in the right setting, and the good mood, ready to appreciate more the speakers that are coming on next. And sometimes it's a question of salvation, keeping everything together when things are going wrong. And we know this happens a lot in everything we do. But a good MC is somebody who who thinks on their feet, keeps everything together, and helps deliver the objective, of what the event organizer wants. And at the end of the day, what they want and what they're trying to achieve, if you're helping them do that, whatever it is, that's the role an MC plays. Sometimes the MC is just somebody who sounds professional and looks good. Sometimes it's that. It's simple as that. Sometimes it's a lot more than that, really gluing, stitching together what speakers have shared, their messages, their call to actions, and putting it all together. And sometimes it's just a question of energy. There are lots of MCs that share lots of strong, high energy. And if that's exactly what your event organizer wants and nothing more, then that's fine. But it's really important to know what the event organizer, your client, actually wants to achieve.
Yeah. So more or less you have a very detailed, it sounds like, if you want to be an MC, right? Because I don't know, maybe some of the listeners would want to do that at some point, or they may get invited to be MCs at some point. I, by the way, got invited once, which was very strange. I don't do that stuff. Not because I don't...
That stuff, no.
Not because I don't appreciate it. I actually appreciate it tremendously because it's really hard stuff. But it sounds like there is a lot of collaboration between you and the organizer.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So unlike a keynote or a speech on stage or delivering a talk where you're fully in control of what you share and what you're trying to achieve, working as an MC, working as a host for the event organizer, you're working together to achieve something. And so one of the real great skills of a good MC is somebody who really is aware of what's happening around them, aware of their audience, aware of what's going on with the speakers, aware of the messages they've shared or about to share, aware of the sponsors who are really the big, these are the VIPs. These are the people that really have, for many events, the event would not happen without them. So it's really important to make them feel good and feel like they get their money's worth as a sponsor as well. So awareness is a really, really important quality to have to become a good MC.
Yeah, for sure. And just the fact how many things you mentioned, like the sponsors, the speakers, the event organizers, overall the audience, like the vibe, all of those things, you have to be like really into those things so that you make the whole event, the whole experience brilliant, right? For everybody, which is when you have so many audiences and so many internal customers, let's put it this way, it's not an easy task for sure.
It's not easy. It can be quite tough, but the more you like speaking in general, the more you do it, the more you
enjoy it.
The more mistakes you make, the more you have a chance to put them right from one event to the next. The more you do, the more it's like the muscle, like the speaking muscle. The more you do it gets better. So really, really being able to think on your feet and being ready to accept things that maybe are not going the right way and trying to put that right is the skill that you're sharing. And actually, for me, as a coach and as doing certain talks and speeches on stage as well, it makes me become a better speaker.
Yeah.
So learning to accept the unpredictable things that happen and accepting the changes, accepting things that, being really present really helps me become a better speaker, I would say.
Yeah, you said, by the way, mistakes that you do, the more you do, the more you kind of learn. Like if you have to go back, I know that we didn't plan for that, but let's try it. Like if you have to go back in your career as an MC, like can you like come up with probably one of the biggest mistakes that you did? Like, is there any, like it, maybe not a mistake per se, but something that you have something that happened at the event and that made you like better at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I would say certainly at the beginning of my career as an MC, as a person who shapes the stage on behalf of event organizers, I would say, you know, what I would tend to do maybe at the beginning I would expect that my role is like we mentioned earlier on, is somebody to inject energy. Now that's part of it, but you inject the energy at the right time when they need it. And they don't always need it when you think they need it.
Yeah.
So often, for example, I see a lot of speakers and other MCs as well at different events. The good, the bad, and the ugly, a bit of everything. But often, one thing that I can see, and I saw that in myself. I saw that in myself when I was starting out. An MC that would come out and in the first part of their introduction, you could feel that they had high energy, but the audience, an audience is not necessarily ready for high energy right at the beginning or at any stage really. You have to really see if that energy is there ready, and if they're not ready to give that back to you in terms of their reaction or in terms of on what you see visually when you're on stage, that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't appreciate you, and also the other side as well. So as I say, giving out, it's not just about, and you have to find the right energy, and often it's a case of just pacing. So at the beginning, come out confident, come out feeling positive, knowing exactly what you're going to say. For me as an MC, my first monologue, my first few sentences, those are the most important sentences I will say if it's a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day event, because that's the moment people are deciding whether they feel emotionally ready for what's going to happen. Yeah. So if they can see that, so the credibility, the warmth, what you say to them, make them feel like they're in the right place, the empathy level, really sharing empathy. And again, at the beginning of my career, maybe I didn't have the level of empathy I have right now. So right now it's really all about putting yourself in their shoes, what they're thinking about, what they're ready for, what they're going to get by the end of these 2 days, what they're going to walk away with. So really focusing on that rather than just, being confident, humorous, and high energy, because it's not always about that. That's what I would say.
That word empathy for speakers is just a big one.
Absolutely.
Anyway, now moving on to you said that you work a lot with the speakers, obviously, with the sponsors, with the organizers. However, a lot of the people that are listening to this are speakers or aspire to be, and they get invited, or their companies send them to speak at events like Digital K. Now, they're going to hit you at some point, right? Because there is no way around it. You are the MC, and for sure there is something that's happening between you and more or less each and every speaker, I can imagine. So what can I expect, or what can our listeners expect if you end up being their MC at the event that they're about to speak, or they got invited? Like, what is the collaboration between a very good MC like you and a speaker to that event look like? Like, what's happening?
Okay, so to understand this better, you really need to understand as a speaker that the person, that your audience, as I said at the beginning, your audience is put in the right mood. It helps you as a speaker to really accept your messages better if they're put in the right frame of mind. And that's a good MC will do that. Will get them thinking about what you as a speaker, what you're about to share, getting them ready. And so it's one hurdle less for you at the beginning of your speech. So let's say I'm a speaker, what I'm about to share, I've got to sort of pace them in, get them to agree with me, really get them to understand, my way of thinking at the beginning. A good MC, before you come on, will do a great intro that gets them to start thinking about that. So
Okay.
for me, what I do, sometimes we connect online before the event.
Okay.
A lot of speakers are busy and they haven't got time for that, which is cool, which is fine.
Yeah.
Most are very professional as
Empathy.
well. So when we get to the event at some stage, I'll introduce myself, have a chat, shake hands, sit down. And for
Mm.
me, what's important for me, I really need to hit the mood of what they're talking about. Right. So
Okay.
as an MC, what do I already know? I already know their name, may not know how to pronounce it. So asking them, how they want me to pronounce their name.
Very
Okay. That's
important. Yeah.
really, really important. Really important. It's the one job that if there's one job you have to get right as an MC, it's the name, right? So getting the name
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
And also, what else do I know? I've got a bio maybe on the website. I've got maybe a profile of them. Perhaps I've looked at a couple of their YouTube videos to see how they share their messages. But at the end of the day, the bio, their name, their photograph, or YouTube videos, they don't give me always exactly the mood they're going to share in their talk. It could be a new talk. It could be something they've never done before. So I sit down with them and I ask them, there's one question I always ask speakers. I say to them, listen, could you give me one sentence or two sentences that really give me an idea, flavor of what your audience is going to walk away with?
Okay.
What's the value? What's the real value they're going to get from you?
No. Okay.
Now, I've already got my little speech put down. I've got some notes already. I almost know what I'm going to say, but I really need to know what they think and the value they're going to share from their perspective, because sometimes it's completely different from the bio, right?
Yeah.
So they then tell me, they think a little bit and then they tell me, let's say, two sentences. And usually good speakers will be able to pinpoint that very, very well. And then I would then kind of say, well, it's kind of like this, isn't it? Or how about like that? So we exchange a few comments and then sometimes I'll say, yeah, actually that sounds really good. Yeah, you've got it right. Or they'll say, no,
Okay, yeah.
more towards this or more towards that. And then after that conversation, I've got a real kind of the mood of what they're about to share. And that helps me put the audience in the mood ready for what they're going to get. It might be something, really curious, really kind of out of this world, something that they've never heard of before. It could be intriguing. Yeah. It could be something that's really, really kind of a really not a sad subject, but a topic that is it's quite emotional. So knowing that from their mouth, from the horse's mouth, as it were, it helps me put the audience in the right mood, ready to listen, and the speaker feels like, I don't have to worry about being introduced in the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. That is definitely, so that is like every speaker should be prepared, I think, for something like that indeed, because if you think about it, it's in their advantage, right? Absolutely. To have somebody to do all of that for them and warm up the audience in the way that they want, right? First of all, it's not easy. Yet again, saying that it's not easy, but having somebody who will do that work for them, kind of warm up the whole audience for them in that way before the session, that is so nice. Okay, talking about speakers, you're working with a lot of people, a lot of executives all across the world. What are you seeing? Like, what are the top mistakes that speakers do nowadays?
So you got different types of speakers and different levels of speakers as well. So different people that have been doing it a long time, people that do it professionally, that are just want to step up and keep improving. Other people that maybe haven't done it hardly at all, and they've brought me in to really shape their storyline, really shape their messages. And help them shine and help them look, sound, and feel good. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that are happening there. one of the things is, so an advanced speaker that does it for a living, somebody that gets paid for it and goes around the world and, on behalf of their company or on behalf of themselves. It can be quite a lonely job, and it can be, from what I see as well, everybody's looking at you, all eyes are on you, and this is your job, almost like a rock star. Some people feel like a rock star. So there's a lot of ego. Unfortunately, there's a lot of ego in this business. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, and you've seen it before.
Sure.
So somebody that keeps practicing, somebody that maybe hasn't been on stage a lot, that doesn't get paid for gigs yet, but really likes to share their messages, really wants to get, connect with their audiences and get them to think differently. They like to learn. They like to keep moving. Yeah, they like to keep practicing self-awareness, looking at themselves, learning about the things they could do better, looking at themselves, their recordings, listening to their podcasts, let's say, or their webinars, to really to keep improving. That's something that, as more advanced speakers develop into professional speakers, or even at a professional speaker level, that tends to kind of go down. So maybe then they've reached a level where they feel they can't move any further, or they feel like they know everything. They're getting paid to do it, and for a lot of people, naturally, that's the kind of notion that would pop in your head if you do it for a living.
Do you see a lot of people like that?
More than you would think. Absolutely. And you can. So a lot of events at a lot of stages globally, there's each event, there are, a selection of speakers that are in this bracket, right? A lot of them are great. Some of them are not good,
great,
and some of them are not. There's something wrong there in terms of why they're on that stage. So the point I'm trying to make here, very simply, is that regardless of your level of experience, regardless of your status, regardless of the company you work for, regardless of how many times you've been paid to speak as a public speaker or professional speaker, regardless of you being on a speaker's bureau, at the end of the day, you can still connect so well with your audience if you just keep learning, keep being aware. I often say practice. So we say practice, practice makes perfect. But for me, it's not just practice that makes perfect. Practice plus self-awareness really makes perfect, because you can keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And what happens there, your confidence rises. So anything you do more of, usually an action you do more of, your confidence, you get confident at it. That doesn't always necessarily mean that you're getting better at it. Do you know what I mean? See what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm sure you see that in your profession as well, with the people you work with.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very interesting one, because we, for example, also deliver quite a lot of corporate trainings. Even today, we were at a training with an IT company, with their IT people, and we were talking about storytelling. And I told them a story and asked them for feedback whether or not they found the components of the story, meaning the character, like the obstacles, on and on and on. And one of the people in the group actually gave me feedback in front of everybody, right? Because it's a virtual call, that, we found everything, and we found this and that and this and that which you asked for. However, I think that you can cut and make this story shorter. I was like, And then is this self-awareness moment, as you said, right? Is the ego playing here, saying, hey, I'm your trainer, don't tell me that it could be shorter? Or is it because I believe that you're referring to somebody who gets feedback or even doesn't ask for feedback. But when they get it, they are like, I don't care. Like as you said, I get paid for this, right? So don't tell me how it should be. But when I heard it, I was like, really? Like, where do you think we can cut? Like, what is your opinion on this? So we made this discussion as part of the training itself. And it became a very interesting moment in the training. And to be completely honest, I very much agree. I very much agree that story, the way I presented it, because it was something that I rehearsed, but I rehearsed it and it's something new that I added into the training. I would say that this lady had a point, right? I really can cut it without losing the message, right? It's not you probably also talk about that at some point that, hey, it's not the main idea to simplify and lose the message while simplifying, but how can you simplify something, make it even easier, and yet communicate the same? And yeah, that self-reflection, that self-awareness, that wait a minute, that like it really could be better. And I also felt when I told that story that this really could be better. And somebody said it afterwards. I was like, that makes me think, right? And I don't know how much and how often do you see people that are that open to kind of hear that, because I believe that is like even except like even outside of the presentation world, the presentation skills world, that is an exception, right? Not that many people are, or at least that's my view. Like, what's your view on this? Do you see people all across in the business world being open to hearing somebody telling them something that they can improve, or like, what's your take?
I would say, I mean, this goes back to the empathy thing, the empathy notion, really trying to listen. So great speakers are great listeners.
Yeah.
Really listening to other people, and really good leaders, they want to hear opinions. They want to hear feedback. They want to hear people challenge them.
Yeah.
So for me, again, like what you said earlier on, about, swallowing your ego and so I see myself, I travel a lot. I lots of countries, and I'm on lots of stages, but as I keep moving, as I keep doing this, as my career grows or moves to different directions, sometimes good, sometimes bad patches. This year for me at the beginning was a real tough time. It's getting better. It might go down again, I don't know, but through all of this, I'm kind of very humble, because I know that there are lots of other MCs on this planet that are a lot better than me, that are stronger than me, that are getting maybe better gigs than me, perhaps. But I know on the other end of the scale, there are a lot of people that maybe think they're great, but in fact they haven't got half as experience as I have. So it's just again, not really comparing yourself to anybody. Just to keep moving and learning. I mean, the great thing is about the Present to Succeed conference, which is how we kind of connected. Well, you connected with me. You saw me, as I say, at DigiTalk a few years ago. And now a few years later, I'm kind of reaching out to you regarding the ideas and what's happening at the conference. So the conference is a fantastic place where I know, even though I'm sharing a masterclass and a session, I'm gonna be tuned into every single one of those presenters. A lot of them I already know the names of. A lot of them I know that are people that are doing great work. I've looked at some of their things before. I've met them, a few of them at the conferences. Some others, like Mark and
Chase,
who I watch on YouTube quite often, on their behavioral panel series, which is fantastic, by the way.
Absolutely.
So I will be listening and learning from them as well. So I'm very, very much still learning, and I'm no way and nowhere near the peak. And that's a really interesting question to maybe ask, others who are who are presenting at the conference, people like Mark, people like, where they see themselves, because they, from the outside, they are the top body language expert on the planet, behavioral experts as well within Chase and a lot of the others as well. So it's important to know where you see yourself in all of this, and whether you're ready to move forward by learning. And that's going back to the original question, that is something that I see maybe far too many people not willing to do.
That's a very deep answer, I would say. Like, really made me think, for sure. And the people that we work with, like, for sure, because I would agree with you that is probably if not the biggest, probably the worst mistake they're doing, like the worst. Anyway, I think that Mark and Chase in particular, and everybody that's going to be at the event, is going to join everyone else's sessions, like just to see how many people agreed and kind of went in with us to do that event for first time ever. I don't know for you, but it's not because we are doing it. We are not going to even speak at the event. But I recently received a few LinkedIn messages where somebody who is in the speaking world, public speaking world, like, what are you guys doing? Like, you are this, like, what is this agenda, and what are those speakers what are you trying to do? Like, you're trying to bring all of the rock stars at one place? I'm like, we're really hard. Like, we're really hard on trying to do that. So the events, like all of the speakers you included, the lineup of speakers that we will have is just phenomenal, and I cannot wait to also join as many sessions as I can as a moderator, right? But afterwards, I'll for sure watch a lot of the recordings and everything that I missed. I can guarantee you that.
Absolutely. Well, the great thing is that there's 4 tracks, so it's with story, delivery,
design,
tools, and
design,
and design. So, like, for me, so I'm within, for me, it's all about delivery and story, really. But I'm intrigued to hear more about design and tools as well, which can only help me in the way that I share my messages with the slideshows that I have as well. Incidentally, I just want to get this in. So as an MC, so lots of different events, different types of events, blockchain, fintech, marketing, sports, pretty much everything, a bit of everything. But I can tell you, apps. So app development, app design, speakers at these type of events, this is just my experience, but speakers at these type of events, I'm not kidding you. The slide decks are impeccable, are beautiful. Now, maybe not the speakers, maybe not in terms of delivery or story or content, the way they show up and the way they share their messages, put that aside. But in terms of what you see on the screen as an audience member, the experience, the visual, and often the audio as well, that's linked into it as well, absolutely outstanding. And that's all. I've always remembered that. So when I do if it's app design or all to do with mobile or things to do with with that topic, I know that on the screens the slide decks are going to be great, and they feel good color wise, and the simplicity of those decks. I just wanted to share that with you.
By the way, if you think about it, when you are the speaker, this is like, there is just so much work that goes behind building a beautiful deck, right? And so much psychology if you think about it. But one of the interesting things about those presentations and about those slides is not only that they really have to support the speaker, right? So that he or she feels like this is theirs, like it's like they're connected, right? But it also, when I go on stage, for example, or when I was going on stage, because I like, the world changed obviously, but when that you have the story, you are very well rehearsed, but also your slides are the best out there. Your confidence is just so high that you are going to deliver the best you can. It's just insane. Like, you go with so much energy because you cannot wait. I always say here to our design team, when we build something for our customers and when I review it before they see it for first time, I sometimes have, from the first draft, I sometimes see the deck and the direction that it's going, and they can somehow, if you reach out to them, they will tell you that sometimes I react like this way. I'm like, I can only imagine having this one for myself, right? If only that was my presentation. It's just so nice. It immediately boosts your confidence of your overall delivery. I mean, it is big deal, big deal for sure. And thankfully, you're seeing a lot of great ones, which is not the case all across the world, but the fact that you're seeing more and more great ones is great. I mean,
absolutely, lots of great presentations, simplicity. I mean, we the days of lots of text and small fonts and too many pictures, and they're still there. We all know they're still there. However, people understand that they try to get away from that. So
they started.
It's all about the signals that we're sharing. So we show up on stage, what we wear, how we sound.
Yeah.
The way our hair is brushed, whether we're wearing glasses, red, colorful glasses, our shoes, how we move, and our slide deck, what's behind us. All these things are signals.
Yeah.
Which are sending out to the people that are listening to us, making that judgment. So that's one part of the puzzle that will only help you and benefit you if it's done right.
I cannot agree with you more. Now, talking a lot about conferences, again, you're going to deliver a masterclass and a session at Present to Succeed. Tell us a little bit about both. Like, if we have to start with the session, what should people expect there? And then we have the full-blown, as we said, the full-blown masterclass that's 4 hours long.
It's not just a little bit blown, it's full-blown.
Yeah, it is full-blown masterclass. What can people expect from those two? Like, bring us behind the scenes of both the session and the masterclass.
Sure, absolutely. So if we jump in first of all into the session, so this is for everybody that joins the conference. I think I'm on the second day.
Yes.
In the morning, I think, or
yes,
the morning. So this is really jumping into the mindset of an exceptional speaker. So instead of perhaps sort of sharing ideas and practical things you do, things that we can kind of hands-on ideas you can sort of do. This is more about kind of getting to grips with notions, with ideas that if you think more about them, you can become a stronger speaker. One of them we've already spoken about already is the kind of notion of unpredictability, accepting things that will change. Now, I'll share inside that session. One of the elements will be that. And why do I put that in? So at the beginning of COVID, at the beginning of when everything kind of kicked off in March, April, we all know people that when this happened, when lockdown suddenly was a reality, they felt that, it's really kind of anxious. Levels of the nervousness kind of rose, not sure of what's going to happen. And rightly so, people have, I'm lucky, you're lucky. We've still got things going on, but a lot of people have lost their livelihoods or about to lose their livelihoods. And so that caused a lot of anxiety, where there was other people that kind of said to themselves, okay, this is not good. This isn't something that is normal.
Yeah.
But I'm going to, I'm going to sort of get through today, get through this week, get through, a fortnight, 2 weeks of this, and then sort of accept that this is something that's changing, accept it's out of your control, accept that, we don't know what's on the other side of this, but not feel those levels of anxiety, sort of like feeling, not great about it, but feeling positive and optimistic that whatever comes at you, you're going to try and deal with in the right way. Now, this is a trait. This is something that, it's within our character for many of us, and we can't click our fingers and change that. However, as a speaker, for me, certainly, and as an MC, looking, knowing that things may change and being okay with that, being okay with the things that will be unpredictable during the 2 days that you're on stage, or in your keynote, if you got a 45-minute keynote or half an hour, knowing that, if you're going to accept things that come at you, maybe somebody will give you a really awkward question at the end, perhaps, or something, a technical problem might happen, that will, the internet will go down or something. But knowing that you're confident enough to accept that and move on is a really important thing to remember. So literally these kind of ideas, that's what I'll be sharing with listeners. Another one we talked about already is listening. So that being a great listener and in trying to improve your listening skills in general will help you. Again, people say, as a speaker coach, you probably do more speaking than listening, but it's entirely the opposite. And it's true for you as well, Boris, I'm sure. We listen more than we speak. So these kind of ideas, jumping into a handful of those ideas. And so when you finish, when I finish, you'll walk away with, maybe not all of them. Some of them you'll know already. Some of them will be, true to you anyway, but perhaps a couple of them you'll think more about and say to yourself, well, hey, actually, if I start to think more about that, it can actually help me as a speaker and just growing as a professional as well. So that's really the session. If we move across to the masterclass, the full-blown masterclass, this is 4 hours. 4 hours of a masterclass, very simply called the Delivery Playbook, on stage and online. So literally what I do is it's really simple, just putting together some of the, the best, the best stuff I know, putting it all together in terms of tools. It's almost like a toolkit, a handbook, a toolkit, a playbook, call it what you like. It's pretty much lots and lots of ideas, things you can do, things you think about, make them relative to you and then do them, and this will help you just deliver your message more, because at the end of the day, delivery is about connection. So we often, I say, we're not really presenters, we're connectors. We need to connect. At the end of the day, it's connection. It's number one is connection. So on the stage or online in this box we're looking at now at each other right now, or when you're doing Zoom calls, when you're doing meetings, at the end of the day, it's more about connection and engagement than anything else. So putting all these things together, lots of tools, lots of ideas. Half of it will be, the first 2 hours is about in the real world, on stage, in front, actually physically in front of people, what you can do, things you can think about, which will help your delivery, just improve your delivery, whether you're a beginner, whether you're somebody who does it quite often, or even if you're at an advanced stage, some of these things will help you. Then the other 2 hours, the last 2 hours, is all about the virtual world, all about the ideas that you should really kind of touch upon, and that will help you become stronger, and in some cases more confident.
Yeah.
But in most cases more engaging and connecting more when you're online.
Yeah. Well, I don't know for you, but it's almost an hour since we started this podcast. Yeah. And while you were
How
saying,
long should this last? How long should this last?
Not more than an hour. So saying all of that, I cannot wait for. I'm not sure whether or not I will be the moderator for the workshop. I really don't know who is going to moderate yours. Is it going to be me or Eva from our team? But we'll see. No matter who it is, I will for sure watch the recording if I'm not the moderator. But both of the session and the masterclass is, I feel like that one is the practical thing, and the session itself will go kind of deep, right? And that one is so much needed. We don't have that session, and that's why when you said and suggested, I was like, we need one of those. Like, we really need one of those. So I cannot wait for both of them, to be completely honest. And probably here is the moment to say thanks for spending this 1 hour, right? Thanks for spending this 1 hour and sharing all of that wisdom for the MC world, for what it is to be an MC and how to do all of those things and what people should expect from an MC, etc. And all of the other great things that you actually mentioned. So thanks for being part of this episode number 19. I know that you know that number, that you like that number for some reason.
Makes me feel like I'm 19 again.
Yeah. So thanks again for being here. Where can people find more about you? Because you have a lot of great stuff and a lot of great videos also. Where can people find more about Peter?
Very simply, I think the best place is LinkedIn. Link up on LinkedIn. Listen, if you've been listening to this, or if you've listened to this podcast, link up and just say you've listened to this, and so I know kind of where you're coming from. And finally, listen, it's really good to chat about the stuff you love, isn't it?
Yeah,
isn't it? It feels good to talk about and to share and to hear other people's ideas and opinions and sort of hear what other people think about what you feel about a topic you're passionate about. So thanks for bringing me on, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again, talking to you again, and hearing from the other speakers at Present to Succeed.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say definitely, Peter, you can reach out him on LinkedIn for sure, very, very easily. That is completely true. I would kind of even say that Peter has a discount code for the conference, which is not public. So maybe you can reach out to him and ask for that one for the event. But let's stop here. So if you want to know more about...
I love the way you say that, Boris. Very sneaky. Sneaky way. It's very... Nobody knows.
No, but by the way, it's true if you think about it.
He might share.
But if you think about it, it's true. There are no public promo codes.
You're right.
Yeah, so I'm not lying.
You're not lying at all, Boris. No, you're absolutely right. Listen, it's been great, and I hope we can do this. Let's do this again sometime.
Absolutely,
on another topic or
after the event for sure.
Yeah,
after the event for sure we can. So reach out to Peter on LinkedIn, and if you don't know still about the event, presenttosucceed.com, check it out. We are bringing obviously the best people in the world for those 2 days. And if you want to know more about us at 356 Labs, don't Google 365 Labs. We are 356labs.com. So check us out there too. So thanks again, Peter, for being here and spending this 1 hour with me. And thanks everybody for listening. See you in the next one.